There comes a moment in life when you have to stop begging for the attention of people who refuse to see your worth. Stop lowering your standards just to be accepted. Stop chasing those who cannot recognize the gift that God placed inside you. Because here's the truth. God has a way of sending the right people at the right time, not the ones who drain you, not the ones who dishonor you, but the ones who will honor you, who will respect the calling on your life, who will value what others overlooked. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need the crowd to cheer for you. You don't need approval stamped by human hands. What you need is alignment with the one who knows your heart. And when he sends someone into your life, they won't just tolerate you, they will celebrate you. When you keep chasing after people who don't see your worth, you begin to trade pieces of yourself just to feel accepted. You start lowering your standards, compromising your values, and silencing your true self so that someone else might finally recognize what's been inside you all along. But here's the reality. You were never created to beg for recognition. You were never called to stand in the shadows of those who don't have the eyes to see the treasure within you. And the moment you understand that, something shifts inside of you. There are people who will never celebrate you because your presence reminds them of what they lack. They will minimize your victories, ignore your growth, and downplay your efforts. Not because you aren't valuable, but because they are blind to the gift God placed inside you. And if you spend your life trying to convince them, you'll waste your energy on people who were never assigned to your destiny in the first place. Some of you have been fighting for a seat at a table God never intended you to sit at. That's why no matter how much you do, it never feels enough. That's why no matter how much you give, it never satisfies. Stop running after people who don't clap for you. Stop exhausting yourself trying to prove your value. If they don't honor what God has put in you, then they aren't the ones meant to walk with you. Think about it. The wrong crowd will keep you stuck in cycles of rejection, constantly trying to earn what should flow freely: honor, respect, and love. And while you're busy chasing them, you're overlooking the fact that God has already lined up the right people, the ones who will see your worth without you having to audition for their approval. You cannot live a life of purpose while holding on to relationships built on dishonor. Dishonor is a prison that convinces you to believe that you are less than what God says you are. But when you choose to let go of those who refuse to value you, you make room for the people God has chosen to send. And here's the thing. The right ones don't need convincing. They will recognize you because they are sent by the one who knows you best. Maybe you've been rejected by family, overlooked at work, or abandoned by friends. That pain is real. That wound is deep. But rejection is not the end of your story. It is redirection. Every no you faced was not meant to diminish you. It was meant to position you. Sometimes God allows dishonor so you can finally stop looking for approval in the wrong places and start finding it in Him. The truth is, if you keep needing the wrong people to validate you, you'll miss the season God is preparing to launch you into. Their dishonor is not your reflection. Their blindness doesn't cancel your brilliance. Their silence doesn't erase your calling. And the sooner you stop chasing them, the sooner you'll see that you were never lacking. You were just in the wrong company. So stop running after those who don't see your worth. Stand firm in the identity God gave you. Walk with confidence, knowing that your value is not up for debate. You don't have to beg to be noticed because you were already chosen. And the ones who are meant to walk with you won't need convincing. They will honor the gift, the calling, and the person God created you to be. God is never late and He never misses a moment. The timing of your life is not in the hands of people, not in the hands of your critics, and not even in your own hands. The timing of your life rests in the hands of God. And when the right season arrives, He knows exactly who to send into your path. Sometimes we get anxious because it feels like we are surrounded by the wrong people, or worse, that we are completely alone. But God has a way of orchestrating connections that go beyond coincidence. The right people will not just stumble into your life randomly. They are divinely sent, chosen, and positioned to meet you where you are and help carry you toward where you're going. When God sends the right people, they don't drain you, they refresh you. They don't question your value, they confirm it. They don't try to silence your voice, they amplify it. And what sets them apart from others is not that they're perfect, but that they honor the calling God has placed on your life. Have you noticed how exhausting it feels to keep proving yourself to those who don't understand you? That's because they were never assigned to your destiny. But when the right people show up, you won't have to wear a mask or pretend to be someone else. They will recognize the gift in you, and they will encourage you to keep walking in it. God is intentional about who He allows to be part of your journey. Sometimes He will even remove certain people so that you're not held back by dishonor. You may not understand the loss. You may not understand why someone walked away. But if they couldn't honor you, they couldn't go where you're going. That's not punishment. That's protection. Because if you carry people who refuse to value you, they'll end up sabotaging the very place God is leading you to. And here's the beautiful part. When God sends someone, you won't have to manipulate circumstances to make it work. You won't have to chase, force, or beg for their loyalty. Their honor will be natural because they are aligned with your purpose. Think of it like puzzle pieces. When the right piece fits, it doesn't need to be jammed or forced into place. It slides in smoothly because it was made to connect. The same is true for the relationships God sends. It's also important to remember that timing is everything. Some of you are frustrated because you feel like the right people haven't shown up yet. But don't confuse delay with denial. Just because you don't see them now doesn't mean God isn't preparing them. While you are growing, He is shaping them. While you are being refined, they are being equipped. And at the right moment, God will cause your paths to align. The person who honors you is not just sent for your comfort, but for your calling. They are not just there to make you feel good. They are there to push you further into what God designed you to be. So trust the process. Stop worrying about who hasn't arrived yet and stop clinging to those who don't fit. Focus on what God is doing in you, because when the time is right, He will send the right people into your life. They will honor you, not because of what you can do for them, but because they see what God has placed in you. They will not compete with you. They will walk with you. They will not dishonor you. They will lift you up. And when that moment comes, you'll realize that the waiting was worth it. Because nothing compares to having people in your life who honor the person God made you to be. The people God assigns to your life don't compete with you. They complement you. That's one of the clearest signs you're connected to the right ones. You've probably experienced the opposite. Relationships where everything felt like a silent competition, where instead of celebrating your victories, people grew distant or cold because your success made them insecure. That's not what God designed for you. God didn't put you on this earth to walk through life with people who secretly resent your progress. He created you to be surrounded by those who will lift you higher, not drag you lower. When someone truly compliments you, their presence becomes a source of strength. They speak life when discouragement surrounds you. They push you forward when you feel stuck. They remind you of God's promises when you're tempted to forget them. They don't try to outshine you. They shine alongside you. And when you win, they don't feel smaller. They feel proud because they see your win as their win too. We live in a world where comparison has become a constant trap. Social media makes it easy to measure yourself against others, and even easier for others to measure themselves against you. But real, God-sent relationships don't thrive in comparison. They thrive in collaboration. When God places someone in your life, they don't need to compete because they're confident in their own calling. They can celebrate your gift without feeling threatened because they know their value doesn't diminish when yours is revealed. Think about the people you've been connected to. Do they bring peace or pressure? Do they fuel your faith or feed your fears? Do they encourage your purpose or distract you from it? If you're surrounded by people who constantly make you question your worth, you need to ask yourself if they are truly meant to walk this path with you. Sometimes the greatest act of obedience is to release people who compete with you so that God can bring those who complement you. God knows how to pair people for destiny. Look at Scripture. Moses had Aaron, David had Jonathan, Paul had Timothy. None of these relationships were about competition. They were about support, honor, and purpose. Each one complemented the other's calling. That's how it should look when the right people are in your life. They don't just stand by you, they help you carry what God has entrusted to you. But here's the challenge. You have to be willing to accept that not everyone is meant to complement you. Some people are in your life only for a season. And if you try to force them into a role they weren't called to play, it will only lead to frustration. When someone is competing with you, the relationship will feel heavy. When someone is complimenting you, it will feel like partnership. There's a flow, a harmony, a sense of being strengthened rather than drained. And here's the beautiful truth. You're also called to be that kind of person for others. It's not only about finding people who compliment you, it's about becoming someone who compliments others. When you learn to celebrate the success of those around you, when you choose to honor their gift rather than compete with it, you position yourself to receive the same in return. God blesses those who can clap for others even while they're still waiting for their own breakthrough. So stop holding on to relationships defined by jealousy and comparison. Trust that God has people who will walk with you, not against you. And when they show up, you'll notice the difference. Their words will build, not break. Their presence will calm, not confuse. Their actions will honor, not diminish. That's what it looks like when someone complements your destiny. They don't compete with you. They help complete what God is doing in you. There comes a time when you have to make peace with letting go of rejection and dishonor. It's one of the hardest things to do because rejection cuts deep. It tells you that you're not good enough, that you don't measure up, that somehow you're unworthy of love, respect, or belonging. Dishonor wounds in silence too. It happens when people dismiss you, ignore your efforts, or treat your presence as optional. And if you're not careful, those wounds can shape the way you see yourself. You start carrying rejection like it's your identity instead of what it really is. A moment, a season, a doorway God is using to shift your life in a new direction. Here's the truth. Rejection is not always an enemy. Sometimes it's a gift in disguise. The very people who dishonored you were actually doing you a favor. They pushed you away so God could pull you closer to where you were supposed to be. If they had celebrated you, you might have stayed stuck in a place that was never meant for you. If they had honored you, you might have settled for less than what God had prepared. What felt like rejection was really redirection. You cannot move forward while holding on to the pain of dishonor. You cannot walk into the next season while carrying the bitterness of who left you behind. The longer you rehearse what they did, the more you delay what God is trying to do. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it broke you. Yes, it made you question yourself. But healing begins when you realize their dishonor does not define your destiny. Their rejection doesn't change your value. Their absence doesn't cancel your calling. Think about it. Even Jesus experienced dishonor. The scripture says he came to his own and his own did not receive him. In his own hometown, he was dismissed as just a carpenter's son. If the Son of God himself was dishonored, why do we think we'll be exempt? Dishonor is not proof that you're less. It's often confirmation that you're carrying something greater than what they can understand. People dishonor what they cannot comprehend. They reject what they cannot contain. So instead of chasing after those who overlooked you, release them. Instead of begging for validation, trust God to send those who will honor you. If someone cannot see your worth, stop trying to make them. If someone refuses to recognize the value of what you carry, stop diminishing yourself to fit their vision. Let go. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with peace. Because holding on will only weigh you down, but letting go will set you free. And here's the power of letting go. You make space for the right people. The ones who honor you can't step in if you're still holding the door open for the ones who dishonor you. As long as you're clinging to rejection, your hands are too full to receive acceptance. As long as you're replaying dishonor, your heart is too heavy to receive honor. Release it. Trust that God will replace what you lost with something greater. You may have been rejected, but you are still chosen. You may have been dishonored, but you are still valuable. You may have been left behind, but you are still destined for greater. Don't let rejection define your identity. Don't let dishonor dictate your future. Lift your head, stand in the confidence of who God made you to be, and let go of what was never meant to stay. Because when you release rejection and dishonor, You make room for the honor God has already prepared for you. Your value does not come from people. It doesn't come from their applause, their approval, or their acceptance. Your value comes from God, and what He has spoken over your life cannot be canceled by the opinions of others. Yet so often we hand over our sense of worth to people who were never meant to carry it. We wait for them to tell us we're good enough, smart enough, beautiful enough, or talented enough. And when they stay silent, when they ignore us, or when they reject us, we start to believe that maybe we aren't worth much at all. But that's a lie. People didn't create you, so people can't define you. Your identity was written long before they had an opinion about you. When God formed you, He called you fearfully and wonderfully made. He stamped His image on you, breathed His life into you, and declared that you are chosen. That means no matter what people say, you carry the fingerprint of God. They might overlook you, but God says you are seen. They might dismiss you, but God says you are significant. They might dishonor you, but God says you are His masterpiece. The problem comes when we start listening to the voices of people louder than the voice of God. That's when insecurity creeps in, when doubt takes root, and when fear begins to shape our choices. The truth is, if you live by people's approval, you'll die by their rejection. One moment they'll celebrate you, and the next they'll criticize you. One moment they'll lift you up, and the next they'll tear you down. You cannot build your life on something that unstable. That's why God never intended for your value to be tied to human opinion. He anchored your identity in Him because He is unchanging. His word doesn't shift with moods. His love doesn't rise and fall with trends. His promises don't expire when people walk away. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to convince others of your worth. Think about the times you've bent over backwards just to gain their approval, only to feel empty once again. That's because you were drinking from a well that could never satisfy. People can affirm you, but they cannot define you. Their words may encourage you, but they cannot establish you. Only God has the authority to declare who you are. And here's the power of knowing your value in Him. When you believe what God says about you, you stop settling for less. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that dishonor you. You stop chasing people who refuse to see your worth. You walk differently. You speak differently. You choose differently because you know you are more than enough in Him. You stop apologizing for being who God made you, and you start standing boldly in your identity. When rejection comes, and it will, you'll remember it doesn't define you when dishonor comes, and it will. You'll remember it doesn't diminish you. When people fail to see your value, you'll remember that heaven already stamped you as chosen, called, and loved. You'll stop looking for validation in temporary places because you've already been validated by the Eternal One. So hold your head high. You are not defined by your critics. You are not defined by your failures. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by the God who made you, the God who loves you, and the God who called you. And His word over you is final. Your value is not up for debate. It's already settled. You are His, and that makes you priceless. When the right person arrives in your life, you won't have to force anything. You won't have to beg them to notice you. Prove yourself over and over again, or twist yourself into someone you were never meant to be. The right person sent by God will see you for who you are, not just for what you can give them. They will honor your presence, respect your purpose, and value your calling without you having to demand it. That's the difference between connections that are man-made and connections that are God-sent. One drains you with constant striving. The other brings peace without striving. So many people waste years trying to hold together relationships that were never meant to work. You can feel it deep down. It always feels heavy, unbalanced, and exhausting. You pour everything in, yet it never feels enough. You're always proving, always defending, always earning. That is not how God designed true alignment. When He sends someone, you don't have to convince them to stay. They don't question your worth. They confirm it. They don't make you beg for honor. They offer it freely. Think about how freeing it is to be fully seen and still fully accepted. That's what it feels like when the right person steps into your life. You don't need to hide your flaws. You don't need to mask your weaknesses, and you don't need to downplay your strengths just to make them comfortable. They see you, the real you, and instead of dishonor, they respond with respect. Instead of jealousy, they respond with celebration. Instead of competition, they respond with partnership. And here's the thing. You won't have to manipulate timing or circumstances to make it happen. When it's God's will, it flows. The right people arrive not because you chase them down, but because God aligned your paths. The wrong ones will require you to fight for attention. The right ones will be consistent in honoring you without you asking. The wrong ones make you question if you're too much or not enough. The right ones remind you that you are exactly who God made you to be. Some of you have been forcing doors that won't open because you want someone to see your value. But maybe the reason it won't open is because God is protecting you from a counterfeit connection. He knows if you keep trying to make the wrong person fit, you'll miss the blessing of the right one. The wrong fit will always feel forced. The right fit will always flow. When the one who honors you comes, you'll know because of the peace that surrounds it. You'll feel supported, not drained. You'll feel encouraged, not belittled. You'll feel valued, not ignored. Their actions will match their words. Their presence will add to your life instead of subtracting from it. And the most important thing, you won't have to change your God-given identity to keep them. They will honor who you already are. So stop forcing what doesn't fit. Stop begging for people to recognize what God has already spoken over you. Trust His timing, trust His process, and trust this. When it's right, you won't have to push. You won't have to prove. You won't have to plead. The right ones will honor you naturally because they're not drawn to you for convenience. They're connected to you by divine assignment. And when that moment comes, you'll realize why the wrong ones had to leave. You'll see why rejection was necessary because God never intended for you to settle for dishonor. He intended for you to be honored, valued, and respected. And when the right person arrives, you won't have to force it. They will see it, they will respect it, and they will honor you. Think about it. When God raises up people for your life, they don't compete with your destiny, they complement it. They don't tear you down, they build you up. They don't make you question your value, they remind you of it. So if you've been rejected, let them go. If you've been ignored, release it. If you've been dishonored, stop chasing after it. Because God is preparing to send someone who doesn't just recognize your presence, but respects your purpose. Your worth isn't in what people say about you. It's in what God has already spoken over you. And when the right person shows up, you won't have to force it. You won't have to prove it. You won't have to beg for it. They will see it. They will honor it. They will honor you. So stand firm in who you are. Stand confident in who God made you to be. And trust this. God will send the one who honors you.